A paranormal romance audiobook. Get out of the road, girl. Now, do not call them. Please, you are barefoot and covered in blood. It is not mine. The black car stopped so close the air from its brakes slapped Eli's legs, and the headlights turned the rain into white knives. She raised her hands like that could protect her, like she had any protection left. Please, just drive. Pretend you did not see me. The man who stepped out did not move like someone who could pretend. He shut the door with a soft click that somehow felt louder than the storm. Expensive coat, broad shoulders, calm face. But his eyes glowed faintly, wrong and beautiful as if moonlight lived behind them. You are shaking, he said. Because you are in my way, Eli snapped, even as her teeth chattered. Because I will not go back. Back to who? None of your business. She forced her fingers to work, the last blockers in the blister pack. She pushed 2 pills onto her tongue and swallowed dry. The burn in her throat was familiar, a chemical lie that told the world she was nothing, no scent, no target, no omega. The man took one slow breath. Eli saw it happen, the exact second his control cracked. His pupils widened, his jaw tightened. The air around him changed, heavy and sharp like a predator waking up. Mine, he growled. Her stomach dropped. No, not possible. Blockers did not fail like that. Not unless fate was a real thing and fate had teeth. Eli tried to run. Her knee buckled, the road spun. Rain, sirens far away, dogs howling like they were already tasting her fear. She fell. Hands caught her in midair. Hot hands, strong hands. The kind of hands that could break someone without effort and still held her like she was fragile. Do not touch her, a second voice barked, the driver rushing up. The man holding her turned his head and the driver froze as if he had been slapped. Do not touch, the stranger said softly. She is only mine. Eli fought, but exhaustion was stronger than panic. Her eyelids fell. The last thing she felt was his heartbeat under her cheek, steady, ruthless, and the scent beneath his cologne, something wild like pine and smoke and winter hunger. When she woke into silence that did not belong to any real home. Too clean, too expensive, too safe in a way that screamed trap. Eli sat up fast and almost vomited from dizziness. A ceiling with recessed lights. Thick curtains. A bed so large it made her feel smaller than she already did. No. A window wall showed a glittering city far below. 50 floors, maybe more. She ran to it, hands sliding over smooth glass, searching for a latch. Locked. Her breath started to come in short, ugly pulls. The door opened. Stop, the same deep voice said. Eli spun and snatched the first heavy thing she could find, a decorative vase from a side table. She held it like a weapon, arms trembling. The man stood in the doorway, now dry, impossibly composed in a dark suit that fit him like authority. He looked at the vase and then at her face as if he could read every bruise she carried inside. I can break that vase with my gaze, child, he said. Put it down. Do not call me child. His mouth twitched, almost a smile. It made her skin prickle. Where am I? Eli demanded. What did you do to me? You passed out on my road, he said. I did not let you die there. That is not kindness, she shot back. That is ownership. His eyes held hers without apology. Ownership is what someone else tried to do to you, he said. This is protection. Eli's grip tightened around the vase. Protection was a word that came right before a collar. A tray sat on a table behind him. Soup, bread, fruit. Her stomach betrayed her with a painful twist. Eat, he ordered. I will not take anything from you. You will take life, he said, or you will lose it. Open your mouth. The authority in his voice made her hate herself for listening. But hunger had been used against her so many times that she could not win this battle. She opened her mouth. The spoon touched her tongue. Warm salt, real food, her eyes stung. He fed her slowly, not like a servant feeding a master, but like a man feeding someone he refused to let go. It was humiliating. It was gentle. That combination confused her more than cruelty ever had. When she swallowed, he leaned closer, gaze flicking to her wrists where old scars peeked under her sleeves. Something darker crossed his face, quick as lightning. Who did that? He asked. No one. His voice dropped, vibrating, dangerous. Who? Eli's throat locked. In her mind, she heard Varg's laugh, felt the shock collar sting, smelled damp concrete and fear. She curled inward without meaning to. The man exhaled like he was forcing himself not to break the world. He did something that did not fit his power. He lowered himself, one knee on the floor in front of her, as if a king knelt to an enemy. No one will touch you again, he said. I will destroy anyone who tries. Eli stared at him, dizzy with the wrongness of it. A monster offering safety. A stranger promising war in her name. What is your name? She whispered. Caleb, he said. And you? She hesitated. Names were handles. Names were how people dragged you back. Eli. He repeated it like it mattered, like it belonged on his tongue. Caleb stood and walked to the door. It clicked shut. Locked. Eli's chest tightened, fury rising. Let me out. If you step outside, you die, he said through the door, voice calm. Inside, you live. Choose. Choose, she whispered to herself, like she had ever been allowed to choose. Hours later, morning light softened the edges of the room. Eli crept out when she realized the door was no longer locked. A guard stood at the end of the hall, silent and stiff, eyes forward, not ignoring her, obeying fear. She walked, bare feet sinking into thick carpet until a corridor of paintings stopped her cold. In the center hung a portrait of Caleb, unmistakable, wearing 19th century clothing, one hand on a sword, eyes bright and predatory even in paint. Eli's breath caught. That is you. Caleb's voice came from behind her. Painted in 1820. She turned so fast her pulse spiked. That is impossible. Caleb stepped closer. You keep saying that word. How old are you? Old enough, he said. And then, after a beat, old enough to know you were not made to be someone's prisoner. Eli's hands clenched at her sides. Then why am I locked in your sky box? Because someone is hunting you, he said, and because you do not understand what you are to me. His gaze dropped to her throat, not leering but focused like a wolf watching the spot where teeth could fit. Say it, Eli whispered, hating that her voice sounded shaky. You are my mate, Caleb said. Her laugh came out sharp and ugly. No, that is what alphas say when they want you to stop fighting. Caleb's face hardened. I have not smelled an omega in 2 centuries, he said. I thought it was gone. The ability, the instinct. Then you stepped into the rain and it ripped through me like a blade, even through blockers. Eli went cold. 2 centuries, that meant he was not just old. He was a myth wearing a suit. Breakfast, he said abruptly, as if control was the only thing holding him together. Now, in the kitchen, Caleb ate steak so rare it looked almost alive. Eli forced down toast. The contrast made her feel like prey sitting politely across from a predator. You are afraid, Caleb said. You should be used to that. I want you to look at me without flinching, he said. Eli's blockers faded. She felt it like a veil slipping off her skin. Her scent rose, sweet and warm and terrified, and she saw Caleb react before he moved. His eyes darkened. His shoulders tensed. A low sound rumbled in his chest. "Caleb," Eli warned. He was in front of her in a blink, pressing her back to the wall, not crushing, pinning. His face hovered at her neck. Heat poured off him. "Vanilla," he murmured. "Fear. And something that makes me want to lose my mind." Eli's knees went weak. Her body responded in the most humiliating way, warmth pooling low, breath turning thin. "Do not," she whispered, but it was not a command. It was a plea. His mouth brushed the air near her skin, almost a kiss, almost a bite. His teeth grazed lightly, and she shivered hard enough to feel it in her bones. "Your body knows me," he said, "even if you hate me." "I do not know you," Eli said, voice breaking. Caleb froze, then forced himself back one step at a time like he was walking away from a fire. He turned his head as if he could not trust his eyes. "You are young," he said hoarsely. "I will not take what you have not offered." Eli blinked, stunned. She had expected force, hunger, entitlement. Instead, she got restraint that looked painful, then let me go. Caleb's gaze snapped back, fierce. "Behind that door is death," he said. "Someone already marked you with fear. I can smell it." Eli swallowed. Varg. The name made Caleb's aura slam into the room. A light above them flickered and burst. Glass tinkled to the floor. "Who?" he demanded, voice like thunder. Eli's heart hammered. She hated the weakness in her chest, hated that telling the truth made it real again. "Varg," she whispered. "He bought me." Caleb's eyes flashed, red for a heartbeat, like something ancient looking through him. He crossed the room in 2 strides, then stopped. His hands curled into fists at his sides. "Say it," he said. "What did he do?" Eli's throat tightened. "He kept me in a basement. He used a collar. He said I was payment. He said running would make the leash tighter." Caleb's breathing changed. He looked like he might shatter the whole building. Then he did something that made Eli's chest ache. He lowered himself again, kneeling, head tilted up to meet her eyes. "No one will do that again," he said. "I swear it." "Swear on what?" "On my blood," Caleb said. He cut his palm with a small blade, clean and deliberate. Blood welled dark. Eli flinched. Caleb took her wrist gently, like he was asking permission with his hands. Then he pressed his bleeding palm to the inside of her wrist where her pulse raced. Heat flashed through her, a spark behind her eyes. Something in her chest tightened as if a string had been pulled. "By blood and breath," Caleb said quietly, "I claim responsibility for you. Your pain will not be yours alone anymore." Eli stared at the smeared blood. A vow was just another chain, she told herself. But her body whispered that it was something else. That night, Eli waited for a gap in the guards and ran anyway, because fear had trained her to never trust safety. She slipped down a service stairwell, stole shoes from a closet, lied to a lobby guard with a forced smile. And then she was on the street, swallowed by the city, lungs burning. Freedom lasted 3 minutes. She smelled them before she saw them. Men with pack eyes, too alert, too confident, Varg's men. One lifted a phone. Eli's blood turned to ice. She ran, through a narrow alley, into a dead end. Brick wall, dumpsters. Nowhere. The men approached, smiling. One snapped an electric baton on and off, the crackle sounding like laughter. "There she is," the first said, "our Omega." Eli pressed her back to the wall. "Please." Varg misses you, the second said. You made him angry. Footsteps landed from above. Eli jerked her head up. Caleb dropped into the alley like a falling shadow, coat flaring, eyes black as night. The men froze. You touched what is mine, Caleb said. Eli turned her face away, but sound carried everything. Bone cracking. A wet thud. A strangled gasp. Caleb did not fight like a man. He moved like something born for war. When Eli looked again, both men lay still, rain washing blood into the gutter. Caleb turned to her, chest rising with controlled breaths, hands red. Eli should have run from him. Instead, she stepped into him, shaking, and pressed her forehead against his chest. I thought he found me, she whispered. He did, Caleb said, and now he knows he is too late. You killed them. They were going to take you, Caleb replied. His voice softened by a fraction. I will not let anyone put hands on you again. Back in the penthouse, Caleb scrubbed his hands under hot water until the sink ran clear. Eli watched the tension in his shoulders like a storm held back. Why did you come so fast? She asked. Caleb did not look at her. Because I felt you leave, he said, like someone ripped out air. The bond is forming whether you accept it or not. There is no bond, Eli snapped. Caleb finally turned and his gaze was too steady. There is, he said, and someone else knows it too. His phone rang. He put it on speaker. A smooth, cruel voice filled the room. Caleb, so it is true. The great clan king picked up my toy on the side of the road. Eli's stomach dropped. Varg, return her, Varg said, or I burn your city, your pretty tower, everything you love. And when I find her again, I will teach her what punishment looks like. Caleb smiled, slow and terrifying. Try. She is mine, Varg hissed. You have never owned anything, Caleb said. You only stole. Now you will learn the difference. The line cut off. Eli stared at Caleb, breath shaking. He will come. Then we move first, Caleb said. You are coming to my pack. The estate outside the city looked like a fortress pretending to be a mansion. Forest pressed close, thick and dark. Iron gates opened as if they were afraid to stay closed. Eli's fingers clenched around the pendant Caleb had given her, a dark stone that felt warm against her skin. What is it? She had asked earlier. Protection, he had said. It will mask you, and if someone tries to bind you, it will scream. Now she understood why it felt like a heartbeat. They stepped inside and the air changed, not silence. Life. The scent of wolves, wood smoke, food, people. A calm man approached, posture disciplined. Mark, the beta, Eli realized by the way he watched everything. Alpha, Mark greeted. Caleb nodded. This is Eli. A woman with sharp eyes approached next. Sarah. She inhaled, scenting Eli, and Eli felt exposed down to the marrow. Sarah's lip curled for a heartbeat, then her gaze flicked to Caleb, caught the truth in his scent, and her expression shifted. She bowed her head. Luna, Sarah said. The word rippled through the gathered wolves, heads lowered, knees bent, respect, submission, some kind of recognition Eli did not deserve. Eli's legs went weak. No. Caleb stepped behind her, close enough to feel. They honor what they sense, he murmured. You are mine. That makes you Luna, whether you believe it yet or not. I did not agree, Eli hissed. Caleb's voice dropped near her ear, intimate and dangerous. I am asking now, he said. Let them be your family. Let me keep you alive. Family. The word hurt more than the threats. The days blurred into routines Eli never imagined. A long table at dinner where people laughed like they had never known fear. Young wolves, children, racing down halls and nearly slamming into her. Mark teaching her the safe rooms. Sarah watching her with suspicion that slowly turned into reluctant respect. Caleb never let her disappear. He did not smother her. He simply existed close enough that the world felt less sharp. One evening, Eli found him in a study, maps spread across a desk, lines drawn like scars over the estate. "You are planning war," Eli said. "War already started," Caleb replied without looking up. "It started when he put hands on you." "Maybe if I leave, he stops," Eli whispered. Caleb's head snapped up, eyes bright with fury. "Do not offer yourself as sacrifice again," he said. "That is what he trained into you. That is what I will rip out." Eli flinched, and something in Caleb's face softened. He set down his pen and lifted a brush from a drawer. "Sit," he said. "Why?" "Because your hair is wet and tangled," he answered. "And I need to do something gentle before I do something violent." Eli sat, pulse racing. Caleb brushed her hair slowly, carefully, as if each stroke was a vow not to hurt her. Heat crawled up her neck, not only desire, but relief so sharp it made her eyes sting. "Why me?" Eli whispered. "Because my wolf recognized you before my mind did," Caleb said. "Because you are the only thing I have wanted in 200 years. Eli closed her eyes, and for a moment she almost believed in safety. Then jealousy came, sharp as a blade. At dinner a woman arrived, elegant, scented, too sweet, eyes bold. She slid into a seat too close to Caleb. "Caleb," she purred, "it has been a long time." "Lenora," Caleb said flatly. Lenora looked Eli over like she was merchandise. "So this is the Omega," she said. "She looks fragile. Did you crawl into his bed for protection, dear?" The table went quiet. Caleb set his glass down with deliberate care. "You are my past," he said. "Do not speak to my present that way." Lenora's smile trembled. "Present." "Eli is my life," Caleb said. "You are a memory. Leave." Lenora's cheeks flushed. She stood too fast and swept out. Eli stared at her plate, throat tight with humiliation she did not deserve. Caleb leaned closer, voice low. "Look at me." Eli did. "Do not let anyone make you small here," Caleb said. "Not even me." Eli's breath shook. "I do not know how to be anything else." "Then learn," he said, "and I will learn with you." That night, Eli woke with heat flooding her body like fever. Her skin burned. Her throat felt dry. Her scent spilled out, sweet and desperate, and it scared her because she recognized it. Early heat. Stress triggered it, the doctor had warned earlier, voice gentle. "It happens sometimes. Try to rest." Rest was a joke. Eli stumbled out of bed, legs weak, palms sweating. The pendant on her chest felt too hot. She pressed her forehead to the bathroom mirror and tried to breathe through it. A knock came at the door. Eli, Caleb's voice, rough, restrained. "Go away," she whispered. "I cannot," he answered. "Your scent is a scream." Eli slid down to the floor, shame burning. "I do not want this." "Neither do I," Caleb said, and his voice broke. The lock clicked. Caleb stepped in, sleeves rolled up, eyes dark, jaw clenched like he was bracing for pain. He stopped several steps away, as if there was an invisible line he refused to cross without her. "I can lock myself in a room until it passes," he said. "I can run into the forest and tear trees apart." "And I will be alone," Eli whispered. Caleb swallowed hard. "Yes, because if I touch you the way my wolf wants, I will mark you, and I will not turn your fear into truth." Eli looked at him, and something in her chest cracked open. The man who could kill without hesitation was standing still because he was afraid of hurting her. "Come closer," Eli whispered. Caleb froze. Eli, just closer, she pleaded. Not more, just closer. Caleb crossed the distance like someone walking into a trap willingly. He knelt in front of her. His hands hovered near her shoulders, shaking with control. Eli gripped his shirt. Heat surged through her, sharp and dizzying. Caleb exhaled like a wounded animal, then wrapped his arms around her and pulled her against his chest. The embrace was not conquest, it was shelter. Eli pressed her face to his throat and breathed him in. The fever eased, not gone, but softened by his steady warmth. Caleb's lips brushed her hair in a brief, careful kiss. "I will take your pain," he murmured. "I will not take you." Eli cried silently into his shirt and fell asleep held by a man who refused to devour her even while hunger shook him. Morning brought a strange calm. Caleb sat on the floor beside her bed, back to the wall, eyes half closed but alert. "You did not sleep," Eli said. "I did," he lied. "Breakfast," he said, standing and offering his hand. "And then training. You will learn to survive." Eli opened her mouth to argue. The alarm screamed. A deep pulse shook the walls. Mark burst into the kitchen, face tight. "Perimeter breach," he said. "Vehicles, heavy weapons." Eli's blood went cold. "Varg." Caleb's expression turned to stone. "Bunker," he ordered. "Now, no," Eli protested. Caleb grabbed her shoulders, eyes burning. "If you go outside, they use you against me," he said. "They hurt you to break me. I will not allow that. And if they break you anyway," Eli whispered. Caleb's jaw flexed. "Trust me once," he said, voice low. "Please." Mark led her down hidden stairs into a reinforced room lined with monitors. The door sealed. Smoke smell seeped through vents like a warning. Eli stared at the screens. The estate lawn exploded into chaos. Wolves shifting, bodies stretching into massive forms. Humans shouting, shots cracking, smoke curling. Caleb appeared on camera, and then he was not a man anymore. A huge black wolf, eyes glowing, moving too fast to track. Eli's breath hitched with awe and terror. Then a canister rolled into the grass and burst into pale, shimmering fog. Wolves stumbled. The pack doctor beside her went pale. "Forbidden suppressant," he said. "It weakens alphas, disrupts shifting. If it reaches him fully, he falls." On screen, Caleb faltered. His wolf body shuddered. He dropped. Men closed in with chains that glowed with runes. Pain knifed through Eli's chest, sudden and sharp as if someone had struck her heart with a blade. She gasped. The doctor stared at her. "The vow," he whispered. "You feel him?" Eli clutched the console, shaking. Caleb's pain pulsed through her, impossible and intimate. On screen, Caleb tried to rise, failed. Eli's mind flashed to abasement, to Varg's hands, to the leash tightening. "No," she whispered. She stood. "You cannot go out there," the doctor said, grabbing her arm. Eli yanked free. "I can," she said, voice steady in a way she did not recognize. "Because if I stay broken." She found a cabinet. Weapons, a handgun, a knife. Her hand chose the knife. Mark had shown her the override code earlier as part of pack safety. Eli typed it with trembling fingers and forced the bunker door open. Smoke hit her lungs. The sound of battle slammed into her body. Eli ran low, using stone and shadow. The pendant on her chest burned like it was alive. She saw Caleb on the lawn, partly shifted back, human arms pushing against the ground, veins dark under his skin from the suppressant. Chains tightened around him. And then she saw Varg. Tall. Blonde. Smiling like this was a party thrown for him. His eyes found Eli instantly, like he had always owned her in his mind. "There you are," Varg called. "Did the king keep you warm?" Eli stepped out from cover, heart pounding so hard it felt like it would tear her apart. "Let him go," she shouted. Varg laughed. "You found your voice. How cute. Did he teach you love?" Eli's grip tightened around the knife. "He taught me what you are." Varg's smile sharpened. "You still belong to me." He lifted his hand. The air shimmered, runes flaring in a circle. Invisible force slammed into Eli and pinned her to a stone pillar. Her lungs compressed. She could not breathe. "Omega," Varg murmured as he approached. "You should have stayed in your cage." Eli clawed at the air, eyes watering. The pendant burned hotter, then let out a thin, keening sound like a scream. Varg's eyes narrowed. An artifact. Desperate, are we? He grabbed her throat. Fingers dug in. Nearby, Caleb lifted his head. His human eyes turned fully black. The air pressure changed like a storm rolling in. Caleb made a sound that was not quite a word. It was promise and threat. The chains around him snapped with a sharp crack. He surged up, moving too fast, tearing through the men around him. Varg tightened his grip on Eli's throat and leaned in, voice delighted. "Look at him. You made him into a monster. That is what you do. You ruin men." Eli's vision tunneled. She felt Caleb's fury like heat across her skin. Caleb reached them, eyes locked on Varg. "Let her go," Caleb said, voice low, lethal. Varg smiled wider. "Or what? You will kill me in front of her. Will that make you a hero?" Caleb took one step. Varg's fingers dug harder. Eli's hand lifted with the last of her strength. She did not stab Varg. She aimed for the rune circle near his wrist, the source of the force pinning her. The blade sliced through it. The circle shattered like glass. Eli dropped to her knees, gasping, air flooding back in. Caleb lunged, but Varg was faster than fear. He grabbed Eli by the hair, yanked her up, and darkness shimmered around them like a torn curtain. "Not today," Varg whispered into her ear. "Today I take what is mine." Eli screamed and reached for Caleb. Her fingers brushed his for one heartbeat, and the contact sparked through her like lightning. Then the world tore open. Darkness swallowed her. When sound returned, it was the sound of wolves howling into night, a chorus of rage that shook the trees and the sky. Caleb stood in the ruined yard, smoke curling around him, blood on his hands, pack gathering behind him, eyes glowing in the dark. He tipped his head back and howled again, a command and a vow. The pack answered. The hunt had begun. Cold woke her first, not the clean cold of night air, but the wet cold of concrete that remembered other bodies. Eli opened her eyes to darkness, and for a second she could not breathe because the smell was the same. Mold. Rust. Cheap disinfectant trying to hide fear. A chain clinked when she moved her wrist. No, a light snapped on. Varg stood behind the glare like a saint painted over a devil. Clean shirt. Calm smile. Hands without dirt. Eyes full of ownership. "Awake," he said. "You always wake up when I want you to." Eli tried to sit up. The chain pulled tight, biting her skin. Her heart hammered, but she forced her voice to stay steady. "You do not own me." Varg walked closer, slow, savoring. He reached out and brushed his fingers over the marks on her wrist as if admiring his work. "Still talking like you are someone," he murmured. "That new alpha taught you bad habits." "Do not say his name," Eli snapped. Varg laughed softly. "Oh, so it hurts. Good, I want it to hurt. I want you to remember that every warm thing he gave you was stolen from me." Eli swallowed. The pendant was gone. Her throat felt bare without it, like a missing heartbeat. "Where is it?" she demanded. Varg tilted his head. "Your pretty rock, your leash with a different name. I took it off you the second you arrived." It screamed like a good little alarm. Eli forced herself to breathe. If she panicked, he would feed on it. If she begged, he would keep her alive just to hear it again. "You dragged me here to gloat," Eli said, "or to kill me. Choose." Varg smiled wider. "Neither. I dragged you here to fix what Caleb broke." He gestured to the floor. Runes were painted in a circle around the chair. Dark ink that shimmered like oil. Candles burned at the corners, flames too still for a drafty room. Eli's stomach tightened. "Magic, you think you are his mate," Varg said. "You think fate chose you, but fate can be edited. Bonds can be cut. And when I cut it, you will stop looking at him like he is salvation." Eli's pulse spiked. The vow, Caleb's blood on her wrist, the pain link that had stabbed her on the lawn. "If you touch that bond," she said, voice low, "he will feel it." Varg's eyes gleamed. "Exactly." He stepped behind her and leaned close enough that his breath warmed her ear. "I want him to feel you breaking," Varg whispered. "I want him to come running. I want to watch the great clan king learn that even he cannot protect what is mine." Eli's skin crawled. She pulled against the chain until her shoulder screamed. Varg clicked his tongue. "You always fight at first. It is boring, but I have a gift for you." He lifted a small metal case, opened it. Inside lay a thin collar, black leather threaded with silver runes. Eli went still, her vision narrowed. "No," she whispered. "Yes," Varg said gently. "The last one was crude. This one is art, and it will do something special. It will silence you, not your voice, your scent, your bond, your hope. Caleb will breathe and find nothing." Eli's throat tightened so hard it hurt. Varg lifted the collar toward her neck. Eli jerked her head away, furious. "Do it and he will kill you." Varg's smile did not move. "He is welcome to try." He snapped the collar closed. For one heartbeat, nothing happened. Then a shock rolled through Eli's body, not pain like electricity, but emptiness. Like someone had reached inside her and turned down the volume of her existence. Her scent vanished from her own awareness. Her skin felt wrong. Her chest felt hollow. Eli gasped. She could not feel Caleb anymore. Panic surged, sharp and animal. Varg watched her reaction like a scientist. There. Quiet. Better, yes. "Now you can belong to the man who actually paid for you." Eli's hands shook. She forced herself to lift her chin. "You cannot keep him away," she said, but the words sounded thin even to her. Varg leaned in again. "Want to bet?" He lifted a blade, not for her throat, but for his own palm. He cut himself. Blood welled. Then he pressed his bleeding hand to the rune circle on the floor. The candles flared. Eli felt the air thicken, like the room was filling with water. Varg's voice turned formal, almost reverent. "By blood and will, I sever what the old Alpha tried to claim. I pull the thread out of your skin. I return you to blank." Eli clenched her jaw. She would not scream. Screaming gave him music. The runes pulsed. Pain bloomed in her wrist where Caleb's vow had been pressed into her skin, a hot line of fire. And in the distance, beyond this basement, beyond forest and walls and iron gates, a wolf howled like the sky had been split open. Varg's eyes widened, delighted. He felt it too. Good boy, he is coming. Eli's heart stuttered. Caleb, he still felt her. Through the collar, through the magic, he still felt her. Hope flared, dangerous and bright. Varg noticed. He slapped her hard enough to snap her head sideways. "Do not hope," he said softly. "Hope makes you stupid." Eli tasted blood. She met his eyes. "Then make me stupid," she whispered, "because I would rather die hoping than live kneeling." Varg's smile turned sharp. "Brave. Fine." He nodded toward the door. Two men entered, pack men with dead eyes. They carried a syringe case. Eli's blood went cold. "No drugs," she snapped, "not again." Varg's gaze stayed calm. "This is not pleasure. This is suppression. It keeps you weak. It keeps you quiet. It keeps you from doing anything heroic." Eli twisted away as the men grabbed her arms. Her collar buzzed. A warning, a threat. Eli took a breath and did the one thing Varg never expected. She went still. She let her body relax. Let her eyes glaze slightly. Let her breath turn shallow. One of the men hesitated. Varg watched, suspicious. Eli forced her voice into a broken whisper. "I will be good," she said. "Please, just do not shock me, please." Varg's eyes softened with satisfaction. There she is. He lifted her chin with 2 fingers. "Good Omega." The man with the syringe stepped closer. Eli's gaze flicked to his belt. A knife. Not ceremonial, practical, worn. She waited until the needle pressed against her skin. Then she moved. Her head slammed backward into Varg's face. He cursed, stumbling. Eli drove her knee up hard into the guard holding her, then snatched the knife from the belt with a fast, desperate grab. The collar buzzed. Pain snapped through her neck like lightning. Eli gritted her teeth and held on to the knife anyway. She slashed, not at flesh, but at the leather strap of the collar where the runes were set. The blade scraped silver. The collar screamed. A sound burst out of it, thin and sharp, and for a second the room shuddered as if the pendant had come back as a ghost. The candles flickered wildly. Varg recovered and backhanded Eli again, harder. She hit the concrete. Stars exploded behind her eyes. The knife skittered away. Pathetic, Varg hissed. "You think you can cut magic with kitchen steel." Eli pushed herself up on trembling hands. Blood dripped from her lip. "I can cut you," she said. Varg's eyes narrowed. "You will not get another chance." He kicked the knife away and stepped into the rune circle, lifting his bleeding hand again. His voice rose, turning the ritual into a chant. Eli's wrist burned. Her chest went cold, then hot, like the bond was being pulled like a rope. In the distance, a roar answered. Not a howl this time. A roar that sounded like a man and a wolf sharing one throat. The building shook with impacts upstairs. Varg froze for a heartbeat. Then he smiled again, almost giddy. "He is here." Eli's pulse raced. Her hope turned savage. Above them, metal screamed. Doors slammed. A shout. Then another sound, low and terrible, like something big moving too fast through small spaces. Varg stepped out of the rune circle and walked to Eli, gripping her hair and forcing her head back. "Listen," he whispered. "That is your mate failing. That is your king bleeding. And when he comes down those stairs, he will see you on your knees. He will see you collared. He will see that you return to me." Eli's throat tightened. She could not feel Caleb, not like before, but she felt the air changing, felt pressure building, felt the pack outside this basement turning into a storm. Footsteps hit the stairs, fast, heavy. A guard screamed, then silence. The door at the top of the stairs exploded inward. Smoke rolled down the steps like breath. Caleb appeared in the doorway. Human form, not shifted. Suit torn, shirt stained, eyes black as the deepest part of night. He walked down slowly, one step at a time, as if his control was the only thing keeping the building from collapsing. Behind him, shadows moved. Wolves. Pack. Mark's voice barked orders in the distance. Varg's hand tightened in Eli's hair. Caleb stopped 3 steps from the rune circle. His gaze went to Eli's collar. Something in his face broke, almost invisible. A flicker of pain. Then his expression turned into a weapon. "Let her go," Caleb said. Varg laughed, or what? "You will do what you did to my men in the alley. You will make her watch you become the monster she fears." Caleb's voice stayed low. "I am already a monster." Eli's chest tightened, not because it was seductive, but because it was honest. Caleb had never lied about what he was. He had only tried to aim it away from her. Varg dragged Eli upright and held her in front of him like a shield. A blade appeared in Varg's hand, pressed under Eli's jaw. "One more step," Varg said, "and I cut her. Then you can hold her while she dies and tell yourself it was love." Eli's hands shook. She forced her eyes to Caleb. "Do not," she mouthed. Caleb's gaze softened for a fraction of a second like a touch, then it hardened again. "Eli," Caleb said quietly, "can you move?" Eli blinked. The question was not rescue, it was trust. "Yes," she whispered, not sure if it was true. Caleb nodded once. His hand lifted slightly, palm open. On the floor, the rune circle pulsed. Eli's wrist burned. Caleb's blood vow answered, hot and alive, like it refused to be cut. Eli realized it in a flash. Varg could not sever the bond because it was not just instinct, it was a vow, a choice, and choices fought back. Varg shoved Eli forward a step, forcing her into the rune circle again. "Do you feel it?" Varg crooned to Caleb, "your bond unraveling, your mate becoming blank." Eli's collar buzzed, warning her to kneel. She did the opposite. She straightened. She met Varg's eyes and smiled through blood. "You cannot erase me," she said. "You can only prove you never knew me." Varg's face twisted. "Shut up." He tightened his grip on the blade. Eli moved, not away from it, into it. She drove her elbow back into Varg's ribs with everything she had. It did not free her, but it made him loosen for half a breath. Caleb moved on that half breath. He crossed the space in a blur. Eli did not watch the violence directly. She only heard it the way she had heard it in the alley. The crack of bone, the harsh inhale of someone losing breath, the scrape of a blade hitting concrete. Then Caleb's hand was on Eli's collar. The runes sparked when he touched them. Eli flinched, expecting shock. Caleb did not yank. He did not rush. He looked into her eyes as if the entire world had narrowed down to this one lock. "This will hurt," he said. "Breathe with me." Eli's breath trembled. She matched his inhale. Caleb's fingers tightened. The runes screamed. The collar shocked. Eli cried out, body arching, vision flaring white. Caleb held her face with his other hand, forcing her to stay present. "Look at me," he said, voice shaking with restraint. "Stay with me." Eli locked her gaze on him. She forced herself to breathe again. Caleb tore the collar open. The emptiness vanished like a curtain ripping away. Eli's scent flooded back, and with it the bond, not gentle, not quiet, a rush of heat and relief that made her knees buckle. Caleb caught her instantly, arms locking around her as if he could keep the world from touching her. "Eli, Eli, Eli," he murmured, saying her name like a prayer. Behind them, Varg coughed and laughed, broken and still smug. Caleb's head lifted slowly. Eli felt the change, felt the wolf in him rise like a tide. Caleb set Eli gently to the side, turning his body so he shielded her view. Mark stepped in, quick and steady, and pulled Eli behind him. "Do not look," Mark said softly. "Just breathe." Eli shook, trapped between wanting revenge and not wanting Caleb to become something he could not come back from. Caleb's voice went low, almost calm. "You touched her again." Varg spat blood and smiled. "She always comes back to me." Caleb did not answer with words. What happened next was mostly shadows on concrete walls, sounds that told the truth without painting it. Mark kept Eli's head pressed to his shoulder, blocking her view. Sarah appeared beside them, fierce and protective, wrapping a blanket around Eli like armor. Eli heard Varg's laughter turn into choking silence, then nothing. Caleb stepped back into view, breathing hard, hands clean the way someone's hands could be clean only when the dirt was not visible anymore. His eyes were still black, but the edges were softening. He looked at Eli. Eli reached for him with shaking fingers. Caleb crossed the room and gathered her into him, lifting her off the ground, holding her as if gravity was optional when it came to keeping her safe. "It is over," he whispered into her hair. "He cannot touch you again." Eli's body trembled with delayed shock. Part of her wanted to collapse. Part of her wanted to scream. Part of her wanted to kiss Caleb until she forgot every basement she had ever breathed in. Caleb carried her up the stairs. Outside, dawn light bled into the sky. The estate was scarred. Smoke curled from broken stone. Pack members moved with purpose, securing, cleaning, surviving. The world looked like it had been in a fist and had not quite been released. Caleb did not let Eli's feet touch the ground until they were inside the mansion again, in a warm room with a fire lit, blankets piled, the smell of tea and herbs. The doctor arrived quickly, checking Eli's wrist, her throat, her bruises. He paused at the faint burn mark where the collar had bitten. "That collar was advanced," he muttered. "That was not small clan magic." Caleb's gaze sharpened. "Explain," the doctor hesitated. "Someone funded him," he said. "Someone with access to runes like that. Someone who wanted to silence a mate bond." Eli's stomach tightened. Caleb's jaw clenched. Mark stepped forward. "We have a prisoner upstairs," he said. "One of Varg's men. He is talking." Caleb's eyes turned colder. "Talking about what?" Mark swallowed. "Talking about who opened our perimeter from inside." Silence slammed into the room. Eli's breath caught. Sarah's eyes flashed, already hunting the answer. Caleb's voice stayed quiet. "Who?" Mark did not look at Eli. He looked at Caleb. "Lenora." Eli froze, the elegant woman, the sweet aggressive scent, the insult at the dinner table, the way she had tried to make Eli feel small. Caleb's expression did not change at first. Then something in his gaze went hollow, ancient betrayal waking up. "Bring her," he said. Minutes later, Lenora was pushed into the room between two guards. She looked perfect despite the bruises on her wrists where she had struggled. Chin lifted, eyes bright with defiance. "Caleb," she said, "you cannot believe them." Caleb stared at her like she was a stranger. "You brought a suppressant weapon into my home," he said. "You gave Varg my security patterns." Lenora's mouth tightened. "I did it for you." Eli's stomach dropped. "For me," Caleb repeated, voice flat. Lenora's eyes burned. "You were becoming soft," she said. "You were letting an Omega turn you into a tame dog. I could not watch it. I could not watch you kneel to someone who does not even know what you are." Eli's hands curled into fists. Caleb's gaze flicked to Eli, then back to Lenora. You think you love me, he said, but love does not sell a woman back to her abuser. Lenora flinched, anger flashing. He promised he would not hurt her. He promised he only wanted to break the bond, then you would see clearly. Caleb's voice went quieter, more dangerous. You thought you had the right to decide what I see. Lenora's eyes gleamed with desperation. I have been with you for decades. I know you. She does not. She is a child, a trauma, a weakness. Eli felt heat rush through her, not desire, not fear. Fury. She stood, knees shaking but spine straight. Do not call me weakness, Eli said. You tried to send me back to a basement so you could have him. That is not love, that is hunger. Lenora looked at Eli with pure contempt. You do not belong here. Eli stepped closer. I belong where I choose, she said, and you do not get to choose for me. Caleb's hand touched Eli's shoulder briefly, grounding. Lenora's gaze snapped to Caleb's hand on Eli. Jealousy twisted her face. You will regret this, she spat. Caleb's voice stayed calm. Take her out, he ordered. Exile. No mercy from this pack. If she returns, treat her as enemy. Lenora's eyes widened. Caleb. He did not look at her again. The guards dragged her away. Her heels clicked on the floor like a clock counting down something that had already ended. Eli's breath shook. The twist of betrayal made her stomach churn, but it also closed a circle. It proved something important. The danger had not only been Varg, it had been the world that treated her like a thing. Caleb turned to Eli. His hand lifted, hesitated, then cupped her cheek. Are you here? He asked softly. With me? Eli's throat tightened. Yes. Caleb's eyes closed for a second, relief and rage mixing. I nearly lost you, he whispered. Eli swallowed. You did not. Caleb opened his eyes and his voice went rough. I will never let anyone take you again. Eli leaned into his hand, trembling. Then do not lock me away from myself, she said. Teach me. Let me stand beside you. Caleb studied her face like he was reading a vow being written. All right, he said, but you obey one rule. What? If fear tells you to sacrifice yourself, you tell me first, Caleb said. We fight together. Always. Eli nodded, tears burning behind her eyes. Always. The next week was not a fairy tale. It was recovery, which meant it was messy. Some nights Eli woke choking on memory, hand clawing at her throat where the collar had been. She would sit up shaking, vision locked on the dark corners of the room, expecting concrete walls and Varg's smile. Every time, Caleb was there, not in her bed. On the floor beside it, like a guard who refused comfort so she could have it, Eli would whisper his name, barely audible. Caleb would lift his head instantly. Come here, he would say quietly. Eli would slide down to the floor and curl into him. He would hold her until her heartbeat slowed, one hand on her hair, the other on her wrist where his vow had been, thumb tracing the pulse like he was counting her existence. I am sorry, Eli whispered one night, voice raw. I ran from you. I made you chase me. Caleb's answer was immediate. Do not apologize for survival. Eli swallowed. I hate that part of me wanted you when you were violent, in the alley, in the war. I hated that it felt like safety. Caleb went still. His voice came low. It is not wrong to want someone strong, he said. It becomes wrong only if strength is used against you. Eli breathed in his scent, pine and smoke and something steady. Then promise me you will never use it against me. Caleb's arms tightened. I promise, he said. And if I ever lose myself, you will command me back. Eli pulled back enough to look at him. I cannot command you. Yes, you can, Caleb said. You already did. You made me stop at your neck. You made me hold you through heat without taking. You made me come back from the edge. Do not underestimate what you are. Eli's chest tightened. She did not know how to hold a compliment without flinching. Caleb brushed his knuckles over her cheek. You are not a cage, he said. You are the key. Weeks passed. The estate repaired, patrols doubled. The pack watched Eli differently now, not as fragile guest, as someone who had stepped into smoke and chosen to fight. One evening, under a sky heavy with clouds, Sarah approached Eli on the training yard. You move better, Sarah said. Still sloppy, but better. Eli wiped sweat from her brow, surprised by the grudging approval. Thank you. Sarah's gaze flicked toward the mansion where Caleb stood on a balcony watching them. He always watches, Sarah muttered. Eli almost smiled. He is terrified. He should be, Sarah said. A Luna can change a whole pack. If she breaks, we all break. Eli's throat tightened. Luna. The word still felt too large. Sarah stepped closer, voice lowering. There is something else, she said. When Varg used that collar, you screamed through it, not with your voice. With your bond, the magic did not like you. Eli frowned. What does that mean? Sarah's expression turned serious. It means your scent is not ordinary omega scent, she said. It means the bond chose you harder than it chooses most. Eli's stomach twisted. She remembered the pendant screaming, the rune circle shattering when she cut it, the way the air had answered her defiance. Caleb came down to them then, silent as a shadow. Sarah stepped back, letting them have space. Caleb looked at Eli, then at the faint mark on her throat where the collar had burned. I want to make it official, he said. Eli's heart stuttered. Official. The pack laws, Caleb said. The bond ritual. Under the moon. Not because I need permission to love you, but because I want you to choose me in a way the whole world recognizes. Eli's breath shook. And what if I am afraid? Caleb's gaze softened. Then we do it slowly, he said. No pressure, no forcing, only truth. Eli swallowed. I choose you, she said quietly. I have been choosing you since the alley. I just did not know the word for it. Caleb's jaw tightened as if emotion was a physical blow. He lifted her hand and pressed a kiss to her knuckles, controlled, reverent. Then we do it, he said. That night the clouds cleared as if someone had torn them open. The moon hung full and bright, washing the estate in silver. The pack gathered in a circle on the lawn. Torches burned. Wolves stood in human form, heads bowed, eyes bright. Eli stood beside Caleb, dressed in simple white, hair down, heart pounding. The world felt too quiet. Even the forest seemed to listen. Mark stepped forward, voice steady. By the laws of claw and blood, he said, we witness a bond chosen and accepted. Caleb turned to Eli. His eyes looked almost human tonight, almost gentle. If you say no, he murmured, nothing changes between us except that I keep waiting. Eli's throat tightened. I do not want you waiting, she whispered. I want you living. Caleb exhaled, almost shaking. Then he lifted a small blade, the ceremonial kind. He cut his palm. Blood welled dark. Eli flinched out of old instinct. Caleb immediately lowered his hand. Look at me, he said softly. Eli looked. Caleb's voice dropped. This is not a chain, he said. This is a door you step through only if you want. Eli lifted her own hand and took the blade. Her fingers trembled, but she cut her palm anyway. A small sting, a bright bead of blood. Caleb's eyes darkened, not with hunger, but with awe. Eli pressed her bleeding palm to his. Heat surged through her, stronger than before, like lightning choosing a path. The pack inhaled as one. Caleb leaned in, forehead touching hers. By blood and breath, he murmured, "I choose you." Eli's voice came out steady. "By blood and breath, I choose you." Caleb's mouth brushed hers, a kiss that was not performance, not conquest, a promise. The pack howled, a sound that lifted into the trees and the sky like blessing. When the ritual ended, Eli felt different. Not owned, anchored, connected. Later, in the quiet of Caleb's room, he did not rush her. He sat on the edge of the bed and drew her into his lap gently, as if she might still vanish. Eli traced the line of his jaw, the scar near his collarbone she had never noticed before. "You are still afraid," she murmured. Caleb's breath warmed her throat. "Yes," he admitted, "because now I have something to lose." Eli swallowed. "You had me before. I had a possibility," Caleb said. "Now I have a vow that the whole pack heard. Now if you cry out in pain, every wolf on this land will hear it in their bones." Eli's chest tightened. "That sounds heavy." "It is," Caleb said, "but it is also joy." He paused, then added, "Tell me what you want." Eli's cheeks warmed. She could not believe she got to be asked. "I want you close," she whispered. "I want you to kiss me until my memories get quiet." Caleb's arms tightened around her. "Then that is what you get." His kisses were slow and controlled, but they carried hunger like a hidden flame. His hands stayed respectful, exploring only what she offered. When Eli shivered, it was from warmth, not fear. Later, when Eli fell asleep in his arms, she did not dream of basements. She dreamed of forest and moonlight and a wolf's heartbeat matching her own. A month passed with a strange kind of happiness, not perfect. Real. Eli trained. She learned to shoot. She learned to run the estate's security codes. She learned to sit at the long table and laugh without looking over her shoulder every second. Caleb tried clumsily to stop being a cage disguised as love. Sometimes he failed. Sometimes he hovered too close. Sometimes his voice turned sharp when she walked alone near the forest. Eli would touch his wrist and say, "Breathe." Caleb would close his eyes and obey. Then came the invitation. A peace gathering. A formal ball meant to show the other clans that Caleb's estate still stood, that Varg's small war had not weakened the king. Eli read the letter twice, stomach twisting. "You do not have to go," Caleb said immediately. Eli looked up. "I do," she replied. "If I hide forever, Varg still wins in a way." Caleb's jaw clenched. "He is dead. Fear is not," Eli said. Caleb went still, then nodded. "All right," he said, "but you do not leave my side." Eli almost smiled. "That is not a side. That is a cage." Caleb's eyes softened. "Then you tell me where the line is," he said, "and I will stand behind it." The night of the ball, the mansion glowed with light and music. Guests arrived in tailored suits and glittering dresses, scents sharp with politics and power. Eli descended the staircase beside Caleb. She wore a dark blue gown that made her skin look luminous. The mark of the bond on her wrist had faded into something like a delicate tattoo, barely visible unless she lifted her hand. Eyes followed her, some curious, some resentful, some hungry. Caleb's hand rested at the small of her back, warm and possessive, but not crushing. A silent message. Mine, but by choice. A rival alpha approached, smiling too pleasantly. Caleb he greeted, and this must be the famous Omega. Eli felt Caleb's muscles tighten. The rival's eyes flicked over Eli like inventory. Pretty, he said, though rumors say she is damaged. Caleb's voice went low. Choose your next words carefully. The rival chuckled. Only concern, he said. A Luna should be strong enough to bear heirs. Otherwise, the bond is a vanity. Heat rushed through Eli, humiliation trying to rise. Caleb took one step forward. Eli lifted a hand and placed it against Caleb's chest. No, she whispered. Caleb froze, his eyes flicked to her. Eli turned to the rival Alpha. I am not here to prove my worth to you, she said. I am here because I survived. If that makes you uncomfortable, good. A ripple moved through the nearby guests, whispers, a few impressed looks. The rival's smile thinned. Brave words. Eli's stomach rolled suddenly. She blinked hard, trying to steady herself. The room tilted. Caleb's voice sharpened. Eli. Eli tried to answer, but her body went cold and heavy. Her vision narrowed. The music stretched into a long, warped note, then darkness hit. She woke to voices, a sterile room, bright lights, the smell of medicine. Caleb's voice rough with panic. If she was poisoned, I will burn every clan that entered my house tonight. The doctor's calm reply. She was not poisoned. Eli tried to sit up. Caleb was instantly at her side, hand cupping her face as if checking she was real. Eli, he breathed, talk to me. I am here, Eli whispered, throat dry. I think I just fainted. Caleb's eyes burned. That does not happen without a reason. The doctor cleared his throat. There is a reason, my Alpha. Caleb turned slowly. Speak. The doctor's mouth twitched, almost a smile. 2 heartbeats, he said. Silence crashed into the room. Eli stared at him. 2. Caleb went completely still. The great, terrifying Alpha who had walked through blood and smoke for her, who had held his hunger on a leash, looked suddenly stunned like a man who had forgotten how to breathe. Eli's hand drifted to her stomach, trembling. That is impossible, she whispered. Rare, the doctor corrected gently. Not impossible. Especially for a true bond, sealed publicly. It happens once in a generation, if that. Caleb's eyes filled, fast and shocking. He dropped to his knees beside the bed, like he had in the penthouse, like he did when